Okay, everybody, let's welcome Legion 13 to LIV Golf Las Vegas. We are joined by Caleb Surratt, our captain, Jon Rahm, Tyrrell Hatton, and Kieran Vincent. Welcome, guys. So since you guys were all virtually new to LIV Golf, last week was a total whirlwind. You guys won, and now you're back here for another tournament. Have you guys had a chance to let the victory last week set in yet? Start with you, Kieran.
Yeah, I think we, whoa, it's a lot louder than I saw. Yeah, no, we had a great dinner last night, on Sunday night, spent it all together, just kind of, I guess, relapsing, or I guess taking in the week, looking over it and sharing some cool moments. So yeah, it was a great kind of celebratory dinner.
Tyrrell?
Yeah, not much more to add in that sense. We enjoyed each other's company on Sunday evening, but excited to get going this week now. So it's a new week, and obviously we all want to go out there and do our best again and give ourselves a chance.
And Jon, do you feel like you guys have really planted your flag in the ground here at LIV, coming in your very first week and winning?
I like to think so, yeah. We definitely wanted to, leave our mark, and throughout the year at least, and had to start the way with the win. The start of the year with the win is incredible. So, yeah, hopefully we accomplished what we meant to do, and hopefully we can keep doing it this year and keep playing good.
And Caleb, I just heard a really funny story while we were walking over here. So I know the jokes keep coming about how young you are out here, but apparently you couldn't check into your hotel last night and you weren't over 21, and Tyrrell had to pretend to be your dad and check in for you.
Yeah.
Can you guys tell us that story?
I don't know who they thought was older in that.
We've had some funny discussions with ages related with Caleb and what he thought we were. Yeah. One of the first things he told me is like, man, I didn't know you were only 29. And I think with the tone of how he said it, he thought I was closer to 40 than 30. So
It was actually a compliment, but he didn't see it that way.
No, I definitely didn't.
No, checking in yesterday, I kind of kept looking over to Caleb, and he was like looking over at me quite nervous. So I just, once I finished checking in, I sort of wandered over to make sure that he was okay. And yeah, as I got there, the lady checking him in saying that he needed someone over 21 to be on the reservation to allow him to stay in the room. So yeah, I had to hand over my driver's license to make sure he had a bed for the night.
Well, you better take care of that win that crack.
Yeah, for sure.
And Kieran, one from me from last week, actually, I didn't get a chance to ask you. So there was one day last week where you outdrove every single person in the field by, what was it, 28 yards, 26 yards. Did anyone out here know that you were the bomber out on tour before you got here? And is that kind of going to be your mark here at LIV Golf?
Well, funny story, actually, teeing off on Sunday, we're in the bunker practicing some bunker shots, and the guy walks over to me and asks me if I had a sprinkler head on that hole. So, yeah, I mean, it's dynamite comes in small packages, I guess. So, I don't know. But no, it was, I guess we got a hold of that one, so we got a little lucky there.
And last one for me, this golf course, have any of you guys had a chance to play it? I know it's kind of a short, tight course, and how do you guys think it suits your games? We'll start with you, Jon.
Have not played it. No, so after this will be the first time I see it. First glance, kind of reminded me a little bit to what would be a Phoenix Country Club, right? A bit more in-city golf course, smaller, maybe a little bit more traditional, but something I quite usually enjoy, right? I mean, not too different to what last week might have been. It's not the longest, it's more about positioning, right? So at first thought is that I think I'm going to enjoy this golf course. Plus, I keep hearing the greens are from people that have played it. That is some of the best greens I've played on.
Excellent. Caleb, how does it suit your game?
I mean, no matter how tight it is, it can be tighter than last week. So I'd say we had a good prep. I don't know. I haven't been out there yet. I think a big thing for me is going to be getting used to the altitude. The ball travels differently out here. It flies maybe a bit farther. And then obviously the temperature too, because, yeah, this is a bit more back at home, right? Kind of cold, overcast, and wet. So this is what I'm used to, and it's a little bit more in my comfort zone.
And Tyrrell?
I hope it's less stressful than last week. I had like most holes you stood on last week was just like not a nice feeling. Yeah, So yeah, hopefully there's less hazards out there that I can find. But yeah, I haven't seen the course either. We're all in the same boat, so hopefully get out there this afternoon and get a feel for it. But ultimately, come Thursday morning, we'll be ready to go.
Excellent. Well, good luck this week, guys.
Thank you.
Jon, obviously we mentioned Caleb being the youngest player out here. What kind of things have you and the rest of the guys done to kind of help navigate his way into professional golf? You know, it's been a whirlwind, obviously, the last few weeks.
Well, he might be 19, but first time he ever walked me through his process to make this decision, he's about as mature as he came. So he showed me real quick that he was ready, right? He was ready to make the jump. And after that, once you're mentally ready, it's just getting past the step of it just being golf, right? Like, it's a different setting, yes. Different competition, yes. But at the end of the day, it's yourself on the golf course, and you just need to get comfortable with that, right? And maybe last week wasn't the easiest, but we did see some flashes of brilliance. He did ask he does ask questions when he needs to try to learn from everybody. Tried to give him advice, but ultimately it's a process that he's going to need to learn a little bit of his own, right? But he's always seemed so ready that that's probably why he started playing off so good.
Do you guys feel like you're all pros out here, but obviously he's young? Do you feel like you have to help mentor him at all, or does he need any mentoring, or what?
I feel like it's up to him. If he wants us to help, he'll ask. If not, I don't think any of us are the type of people to just go up to him and tell him something, because you never know if you're going to help or not.
Caleb, how do you approach like learning about the NFL golf?
I just think it's a bit more of a blunt statement, but it's more of like, how can I just learn to compete and win out here, right? Like, I know that's a big thing to say as a 19-year-old, but like, there's no better way to base my process and base my goals than having that as kind of the forefront thing for me. So, if I'm learning about pro golf based on trying to impress everybody and trying to, live up to expectations, then I'm setting the ceiling so low. So I have my ceiling set really high, and that's kind of allowing me to, truly get in situations where I can learn from the best players. And playing alongside Rahm and Tyrrell, it's as good as it gets, right? So that helps me a lot. And it's just the only tough part is it can be tough because sometimes like I can make Jon my standard, right? Like, but he's the best player in the world and one of them, and and that's somewhere I'm trying to get in my career. But I'll get mad when I hit a bad tee shot and he hits it down the middle, of course, right? So I think just kind of setting my own expectations and just continuing to learn is I'm just going day by day. I don't know what I don't know, and I'm still learning.
Can you take us through the process of when you decided to make this move to LIV? Did you reach out to Jon? How did that whole process work?
Yeah, it was I don't even remember. I mean, it was a big whirlwind because I was playing a tournament at the time, and I kind of let a lot of my team handle a lot of that, but it seemed like there was a lot of interest from Jon, and the day that I got the call and the text from Jon saying that that was a real opportunity, then I saw just total upside for me and just a great way to start my career.
And Kieran, can you talk about you're the closest to Caleb in terms of age? Maybe you guys will hang out a lot. Do you feel like, or not?
I think he's calling you guys old over here.
Oh no, you're closer to me than you are to him. So,
obviously, when me and Caleb knew that we were on the same team, we reached out to each other, and we kind of always just kind of been kind of chatting since. It's obviously cool to have a lot of youth in this team, not just with Caleb, with the rest of the guys here. But obviously Caleb is a great guy. Obviously followed a lot of his career through college golf. Just saw how prolific he was as a player, and so just kind of be able to learn from each other. I think that's the biggest thing. I'm still pretty new to this as well, and so just kind of both kind of finding our feet, but also as he said, setting that ceiling high so that we can have a high standard coming into playing these tournaments. And so I think he's a great kid, not only just on the course but off the course. And so I think the world's his as long as he keeps the head down and keeps working hard.
Jon, there's been plenty of talk about Joko not being in the majors. He's obviously one of the form players in the world at the moment. What do you make of it?
I mean, it's hard to say. Do I believe he deserves to be in majors? Yes. Does he have the talent to contend and possibly win majors? Yes. But unfortunately, the reality is that he's going to have to try to qualify for two of them, and I don't think he can play two of the other ones, right? So, it's a little bit sad, but it's hopefully something that we see a change in the future, encouraging players in LIV Golf to be able to qualify, or maybe a change of the world ranking, whatever it may be, because there's definitely a lot of players here that are more than capable to contend and win majors, and are not going to have the chance in the near future. So I hope it changes.
And obviously, when you won 2 majors, when you win in your majors, you want to be the best because the best. That goes without saying, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean yes. Ideally, to be the best in the world, you have to beat the best in the world. Period. And again, not that there'll be an asterisk, but Joaquin not being there is definitely a step down on the level of the field.
Sure, I just wondered, obviously it was a bit of a whirlwind last week. I just wondered, now you reflect on the decision and how last week was. What are you looking forward to most over the next kind of 12 months and all you might miss out on, I suppose?
Well, I mean, yeah, last week was a fun week. I think how we started as a team was the most that we could ask for. Individually, finishing tied 8th, yes, I'd have liked to have done better, but I tried my best, and that's all I can do. Going into the rest of the year, there's some places on the LIV schedule that I'm really looking forward to going and playing. Down Adelaide, never played Valderrama, so that's another one that's exciting for me. And yeah, I mean, as it currently stands, you kind of, with signing with LIV, you know you're going to miss out on some events. I'm obviously hoping that things will work itself out and that there'll be, down the line, you'll still be able to play like certain events. I still plan on trying to play DP World events this year. I know Jon's the same. But yeah, we'll just have to see how it all works out.
How do you kind of compartmentalize? Obviously, you went through a process to make the big decision of the change of direction in your career. Then when you've made that decision, obviously there's still a lot of uncertainty. How do you kind of focus on the golf and not let everything else kind of affect you when you're on the course?
Well, I think once you've made a decision, you just you stick with it, and there's a reason why you've made that decision to go in that direction. For me personally, I spoke to a lot of people. It certainly wasn't a decision that I took lightly, and it was, although I didn't have a huge amount of time in making that decision, as I said, I spoke to a lot of people and spoke to the people closest to me for quite a lot of time. And yeah, ultimately this is the decision that I made to join LIV, and like, I'm very happy with that decision, and excited to be a part of this team. And this year's going to be a whole lot of new experiences for me, and I'm excited for that. And yeah, we'll see how this year goes.
Have you spent much time in Vegas before, and how does the weather compare to what you're expecting? And
well, the weather's more similar to England, I think, at the moment, which in some ways is a little disappointing. But I think I've spent maybe a couple of weeks in Vegas when, was it Zozo was here a few years back. So yeah, I don't know it particularly well. I mean, I'm not I'm not a massive casino guy anyway. I'm quite happy doing a £5 accumulator at the weekend, sitting on the sofa with a cup of tea and watching another bet fail. But like, yeah, I'm not one to go throw it all on red.
Derek Forrest, CW. I got a question for all of you guys. With the Super Bowl in town, are you guys planning on attending any events? What are you looking forward to the most, and are you rooting for anybody this weekend?
I'm told where to be and when to be. I don't know the first thing of what's going on, so maybe these guys do. I don't even know if I could get in, so.
We've learned that you can, so I don't think I'm going to be doing any events outside. We're competing, right? So it's a little hard to do. If anything, it would be Saturday night, Sunday, whoever chooses to stay, but it's going to be complicated to move around Vegas on the weekend. God, it's a hard guess. I mean, like everybody, I hope it's a good game, right? I've gotten to meet and play with Patrick Mahomes a couple times, and I always love to see greatness in any sport. But just because he's an Arizona guy, and for almost how overlooked it seems like he's been his whole career, I would love to see Brock Purdy do well. It would be, I think the 49ers do have a really good chance to possibly get into that, so I think I would like to see them win. But, no offense to anybody else on any other team, right? It's just because he's an Arizona guy, and it seems like a story that would be an amazing ending to this year based on how he started in the NFL.
Mate, it won't surprise you to hear that I know nothing about American football. I'll say the Chiefs will win, but I mean that prediction has no force behind it. I will not be going to any Super Bowl parties. I think we are trying to go to see Adele one night this week. So my wife's here, so that'll be pretty cool if we're able to do that. But we shall see.
Yeah, I've heard of some pretty cool shows going on at the moment with Adele and Cirque du Soleil and stuff like that. So first time in Vegas, probably not going to stay up too late to many of them, but if one of them does kind of work out, that'd be pretty cool. Soak it all in. In terms of the Super Bowl, it's going to be a tough one. I think it's going to be a great game, great competitors. And so, as John was saying, I think the whole Brock Purdy story kind of makes you draw to the 49ers a little bit. And so I think I have a bit more of my chips on that side, but I think it's going to be a great game regardless.
Brian Hurlbert, LasVegasGolfInsider.com. There's a lot of great history at this course. Greg Norman won here in '86, first $1 million purse in PGA Tour history. What do you know about the history here? There's a lot of so-called Vegas history as well. What do you know about that history and just Vegas in general?
I like to think I know quite a bit about the history of the game, but I know nothing about golf in Vegas. I'm sorry. We a lot of times we play here was mainly as amateurs in college, so I don't know anything about it. And there's been very few pro events we've had here, right? I think the only times I've played, you do have it at TPC Summerlin. I played the CJ at Shadow, but most of my golf career here in Vegas has been amateur actually, so I'm not very familiar with it. But I remember talking to Tom Pernice, and he was the one telling me that these are some of the best greens they've all played on, and how they all have really good memories. Tried to talk to Greg about it. He didn't tell me he won here, so I don't know. But it's looking forward to learn a little bit about it because it's something that I really find interesting.
And you're probably referring to playing in the UNLV event. What some of the memories of playing amateur golf here?
Yeah, playing at it was in Southern Highlands. To this day, some of the best greens I've ever seen in my life. When we always played, it was always firm and fast. Very entertaining event. It's one of those that I wish I could have won. I had to change my last time we played junior to senior year, and I let it slip through my fingers down the stretch. But always a really good experience golf course wise. It was really, really fun. One of the toughest tests we played all year, and one of those that was comparable to a professional caliber golf course, especially on the setup.
and they haven't taken the mic from me yet. So one more question. Now that you experienced LIV, what have you learned about LIV, or what surprised you about LIV coming here?
Oh, well, we experienced LIV in Cancun, which is probably going to be very different to live here in Vegas and Adelaide and so on, right? I think the destination has an impact on how the week's going to be like. The biggest thing for me going into it, based on what the people were telling me, was mainly the warm-up and just the whole situation getting out to the tee. But for the people that know, and that, at least the friends of mine, we have this men's game on Fridays in Surratt, in which it's a shotgun around noon. And last time we had 120 people, and it's basically a cluster of amateurs trying to warm up, having drinks and just in and out of spots and going off. And then all of a sudden, we all get on the carts, we go to the tee and go off. And I can say I've had a bit of experience in shotgun starts in that sense, but just with the best players in the world, right? It was a little bit more organized, but that was the main concern for me, right? And I found it honestly pretty entertaining. It's just funny how we're all warming up at the same time, and all of a sudden, 2 minutes later, everybody's gone. It's definitely different, and obviously for people watching the atmosphere, the music, I think is different, but it's very entertaining. I think it gives the crowd a level of engagement that I wasn't expecting. Everybody seemed really into the music and into the golf, and it was really fun to play into it, before a crowd that was enjoying it so much.
Whoever'd like to take this, when you haven't seen a course before and it's soggy like this, how does that affect preparation for you?
I want to be.
Knock us out, Caleb.
Yeah, you said this is your weather, so go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, once again, obviously, the conditions around the course matter, but taking in the altitude as well, that's going to mean a lot. It's just kind of the same process, right? You just have to, one of the things I'm learning is you just have to learn how to adapt, right? Because there's no, in college, you can kind of get stuck in, a lot of similar environments, right? Similar times. And then, here you go from one country to another in a day, right? So, having zero expectations going into preparation, doing my homework, right? I do my homework on the courses. So, just constantly learning and, obviously you got to see how far the ball is going to roll out and stuff, but and then picking people's brains, right, that are around here, and then great players that just know how to prepare. I think knowing how to prepare is an art and a very good skill to have.
Then, Jon, I know you like to look ahead and look forward and not look behind you, but you've already missed 2 chances to defend this year, and you missed Torrey Pines, and you're missing your hometown event this week. What are you thinking as you're missing playing those tournaments?
It was a lot harder to be at home, not competing, and know that those events were going on. Palm Springs and Torrey, those weeks were hard. I've explained how many times how important Torrey is for me. And driving by Phoenix as often as I had to, and knowing that I wasn't going to play there, it's definitely emotional, right? That's one of the things that I'm going to miss, and I'm hoping that in the near future I can be back playing some of those events. I would certainly love to go back and play some of them. Now with the tournament started, man, we're here to compete. So whatever else is going on, or whatever tournament's going on, doesn't really matter. We're here to hopefully perform well and win. So it's a lot easier while we're playing.
Are there moments of regret at your decision when you drive past Scottsdale or anything?
No. I'm not typically a person that's going to regret any decisions. I made as educated decision as I could get with the full support of the people around me, and confident that it was the right thing for me. So no, I'm not going to regret it.
And then Tyrrell, same thing for you, like with Bay Hill coming up and knowing you can't be at Bay Hill, which is important to you. How do you think you'll feel that week?
Well, that was part of what you knew, like you were signing up for joining LIV, that you were going to be missing certain events. And like Jon said, we, hope in the future that there's ways where, golf comes back together and we can play the certain events that we want to be playing. But golf's just in a bit of a weird spot right now. But I don't like regret my decision, and you just move forward.
Okay.
Caleb, you said you want to learn. So what did you learn last week?
I think I'm just constantly learning that, like, the same things that have worked my whole life still work, right? I think last week was a good start, right? It's not necessarily any major accomplishment, right, on a personal level and a long-term scale, but you know, I just know that what makes me play well in college and what makes the top level of college golf so strong is still so strong out here, right? So just learning that that's another thing I can just kind of hold on my shoulder, that, like, I don't need to change anything, right? That's one thing I'm learning. I'm fortunate to have a great team around me to handle a lot of the hard stuff, right? That, like, you know, I would have a really hard time learning just the logistics of the game and the logistics of getting places, right? But you know, on the course, it's still just golf, like Jon said, and that's one thing. I've always heard it my whole life, and I've always heard just don't change anything, just do you. And I'm starting to learn that, you know, what makes a lot of the best college golf really good is still really good out here. So I'm just trying to continue to do the same stuff I've been doing my whole life and just enjoying it along the way. Don't need to not enjoy anything.
Jon and Tyrrell, you mentioned the possibility of playing DP World Tour. It sounded like even this year, but if not in the future, and certainly PGA Tour in the future, what do you know that we don't? Because when you talk to the powers that be on those tours, they have no interest in you guys coming back.
Have hope. That's all I can say in my part. With DP World Tour, we've seen examples of people playing events, right? So that's definitely a possibility. I would love to, if allowed and if I can, be able to go play the Spanish Open. And if it doesn't conflict with LIV schedule, right, a tournament, but both me and Till are going to miss the earliest Wentworth. If I qualify, I still love to go play in Dubai, the DP World Tour Championship. I mean, that's certainly events I would like to play. PGA Tour, we'll see. If there's ever a way back and a way where we can play, even if it's as an invite, I would take it. It's, like I said, there's certain events that are special to me that I would still love to support.
I guess the other thing is you mentioned majors. Are you going to be proactive on this tour to try to get some kind of recognition so that these guys can get an opportunity to play in majors? And I mean that being talking to the people that are negotiating these deals and seeing if that's not something that can be dealt with.
I don't know how much I can do in a negotiation room. I don't even know if I'm ever going to be invited to one. My job is to play golf, and there's people that are a lot more qualified to hopefully get that to be a reality, right? Every other tour in the world can qualify pretty much, and if anybody thinks that players here are not capable of or high enough quality to go and compete in majors, I think they should come and see for themselves, because, again, some of the best players in the world still here and deserve a chance.
Guys, I'd like to ask each of you, one of the things that's cool, you know, I've talked to different people, and some people have complained about finishing on different holes with the shotgun start, the nature of LIV. I started thinking about it because I've followed LIV for a while, and I thought, really what's interesting is the strategy. It's got to be really different for you guys, knowing that your last 3 holes might be really difficult holes to score on. How do you approach that? How do you approach that? And does that make the game, you know, only 54 holes, it's shorter. You got to win when you win, right? You got to score when you score. How does that work for you? That seems like even more fun with the quality of, I mean, you guys got some of the best players in the world, most of the best players in the world here. So how's that work for you guys?
I think my strategy is still changing. Like, you know, for me, it hasn't been too much of a change, right? Because 95% of my tournaments in college were 54 holes, right? So I used to be kind of a round planner, right? Like, I'm just going to par these holes. I'm going to really try and birdie these holes. But honestly, this will probably mimic Jon's answer. But, like, one of the things I've learned from around him is, like, he's trying to birdie every single hole on the whole golf course, no matter the scenario or no matter where he is. So just being around that, right? Like, that continues to change my view on it a little bit. So that's kind of my goal, because right, with 54 holes, it's harder to come back, right, if you get behind, but it's also harder to lose a lead, right? It's harder to come back on somebody if you're that somebody, right? So it's still golf, right? I don't think you change much, but
I mean, do you strategize with your caddy? These are the holes that got to go, or I mean,
No, I've never.
you
done
just
that.
play hole by hole, shot by.
I've never, at least personally, the player to go before the round, look at all the pins and think, oh, I need to do this here or there, because there's been many times where I said, oh, we're going to lay up here, and let's say it's the 10th hole, and I've absolutely striped it off the tee. I can guarantee you I'm pulling out driver on that hole. So, no, I get to the tee, I see where the pin is, and basically, all right, what's going to give me the best chance to make a birdie and move on. It's all circumstantial, depending on the weather conditions, right? So.
Well, what if you're behind, 5 strokes or something like that, but you got to play for this team like you guys did last week? How does that change your strategy? And is there a little more risk reward, a little more going for it kind of mentality at that point, or hanging in there for the team? How do you approach that?
I think ultimately you just have to play your own game. You just go out there, and I don't think you can overcomplicate it. I don't think that's something you should do. Just go out there and just like be yourself and play how you would naturally play. You can't, like, the worst thing you could do is you say you've got a lead in the individual and you've got a lead in the team. You can't then just start being defensive, because that's not how you play. You just keep doing the same thing, keep trusting that, and should all work itself out.
Hey, let's get these guys out to practice, learn the course. Thank you so much. Good luck this week defending your title.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Look at it.